detail focused. And so when you were showing me total bid data, I loved how easy it was. So I think that our viewers will be, intrigued by this. Yeah, I can see
So
it.
is my screen up? You see it now? Okay, awesome. All right. So this is our homepage, totalbiddata.com. And like I was saying before, so the other part that we didn't get into that we provide, which is huge, is we also provide engineering and estimating services, which is a whole nother facet when it comes to bidding in the government sector. Because once you find the jobs, now you have to bid them. Now you have to go through the blueprints, figure out what's involved in the project, how many windows are we replacing, how much do those windows cost? Are they $100 windows or $10,000 windows? Everything can vary, especially in the public sector, because they use different type of
Right.
materials than you would do at Home Depot. So we're very thorough on that end too. So we provide that as a huge resource and an asset to the engineers and the estimators who bid on these projects. It saves them a ton of time when trying to prepare their proposals. So for Total Bid Data, what we're doing over here is we're covering our immediate areas in New York City, Long Island, and Hudson Valley. But our estimating, we do it nationwide. So anybody who has a project that needs a bid, that needs a breakdown, needs a price
Okay.
on there, we can assist them. But what we're doing over here for the public sector in the New York City area, we're streamlining the whole process where we're finding the bids and then we're also providing the takeoffs in a one-stop shop for their team. It's a really game changer when it comes to bidding in our area. So let me log in and show you what that's all about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start over here with the search. And we have different areas. So if we were in California or Texas, we'll have different counties and so forth. But for New York, we have New York City, Long Island, Hudson Valley, and we'll do all the counties. Now we're going to look for new opportunities that are bidding. We'll check off bidding. And then if we know a particular project that's going on at a certain university or college, we can put in that college name. For right now, for this demonstration, I'm going to leave that blank. And the other filter we can also do is by trade. So if you specialize in a certain trade and you want to look just for plumbing or HVAC or interior or roofing, they're all in there. So you can select by one or multiple trades. And then the other option we have over here is bid value. So bid value is important because of the bonding. So if you only bonded up to $5 million, you put between 1 and 5 million. You don't want to look at $20 million jobs because you don't have the bonding for it and you're bidding as a GC. If you're a subcontractor, you leave that open because you can bid anything, whether it's a $10 million or $100 million project, you're bidding as a sub, your section, you have to review it and see if it's viable for you to go after. But right now, what we're doing is we're looking at all the jobs that are bidding in our coverage area, and I'm going to leave everything else blank. I'm going to hit search. All right, once I hit search, we get a list of all these different projects right away in a matter of seconds. So this is just the New York City, Long Island, Hudson Valley area. If we were to do this nationwide, there'll probably be thousands and thousands of jobs. So, just in our coverage area, there's a ton of work for the contractors that are going on. So you see over here, Mayor's Office renovation. This is bidding 226 in Westchester, New York. And we have the blueprints and we have the estimates. So if I click on this, it'll open up a pop-up. Now, what this is going to tell us, pretty much, it's like anything you would see on the notice to bidder that they would publish on their website, publish in the paper, or anywhere they give this advertorial to everybody to come in and to bid on the project. So once we find that, whether it's in the local paper or on their websites or on the agency website, we'll put it on our site, and then we'll source it and we'll put it here for our contractors to review and to see if they want to bid on it. We start over here with the title. It's the Mayor's Office renovation. This is the PIN number, it's like the contract ID. This goes on your proposal. Over here we have the exact address, and you can simply Google map it if you want to see logistics, the street view, if you can bring trucks, if it's a tight area and whatnot. You see it's pretty open, so it should be okay to
Got it.
mobilize in an area like this. Now, this is bidding on the 26th at 3 p.m. Everybody's proposal has to be there at that time. And these are some of the stuff that they're doing. There's going to be some finishes, electrical and plumbing. Now, this is a very small job, very short, 45 calendar days. Now, with liquidation damages, this means that if you take an extra 10 days, let's say it takes you 55 days to complete the job, they're going to deduct $5,000, 500 times 10 from your last requisition,
Like,
from your last payment.
yeah,
So you have to make sure
you
you try to
better
finish
stay
in
on
30 days
track.
or 40 days. Right. I mean, this is a very short. I mean, for something that small, it must
Yeah.
be like a 1, 2, 3 job. There must not nothing crazy on here. So over here, we let our clients know where we source the bid documents. This is where it's from the city's website of New Rochelle, and they have their bid opportunities. So if they want to bid the job, they have to be an official plan holder. They would go to the agency website to download,
Got
and they
it.
would acknowledge them as a plan holder. So this way, if any addendums, anything comes out, they can alert them, and then everybody's on the same page when it comes to putting together proposals. Yeah, we have a quick summary of the scope of work. So there's some demolition of existing wall panels, lights, cabinets, LED fixtures, and so forth. Then installing some new gypsum board, some ceramic tiles, subway tiles, etc. Now, this is important. They have a walkthrough, pre-bid meeting. So on the 10th, in about 4 days, at 10 a.m., everybody's going to meet at the security desk at this location. And then they're going to show them exactly what's going on. They're going to replace this. You're going to put that. You can put your equipment here. You have to take it home with you. You can't leave anything overnight. Like, there's always these different little logistics that can affect the price.
Is that the opportunity to kind of ask like those open-ended questions where they'll be able to direct some of those open-ended questions? Because I know once the bidding actually starts, questions stop, right? Or you have to use a portal or...
Well, you have a window. So the walkthrough is the best time to get the answer straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak, because it's the PM who's walking the job, or the construction manager who's walking the job, and he's the one who's doing the analysis, who's the one who's going to close out, sign your checks and everything. So while you're there, if you see a discrepancy, if you see something that doesn't make sense, or it doesn't seem right, or if you have a question about logistics, about mobilization, about where you can store your tools, or whatever it may be, that's the time to ask it. After that point, you have about 10 days before the bid date to submit any RFIs. So like a request for information. So after you go through this stuff, you can email them, you can send an RFI, say, hey, this doesn't make sense. What is this? And then they'll send out an addendum answering those questions. But there's a window to that as well. So if you don't do it within that time, then you'll be missed out, and you'll have to kind of like bid blind, or assume whatever your question might be, whatever the answer to that question might be, and bid accordingly. Over here, we have the plans and specs. So these are the blueprints that you get from the agency from, some of this fruit. And this is where we had pulled all the information from. This is the bid proposal.
Sweet.
And they give you details to the specify. And that's what's good about the government sector. Everything is like written on paper. There's no question. You have to buy this exact part. You can't buy anything else. Or they won't pay you. And they give you everything, the manufacturer, what they're looking for. So this looks like a simple bathroom renovation on there. So like, here's another job that I want to get into. This is a $5 to $10 million job. So this actually has a little bit more meat on its potatoes, on its bones. So 5 to 10 million. This is in Midtown Manhattan. It's a Lincoln Tunnel Expressway. I don't know if you're familiar with New York City, but Lincoln Tunnel is one of our major crossings between New York and New Jersey, and it gets a ton of traffic every day. So this, I believe, bid today at 2:30 p.m. So we're waiting for the bid announcement. I mean, they might have bid the bid opening. We haven't gotten the results yet. Probably tomorrow, or by Monday, they'll release them. But this job was a pretty healthy job. Now, what's really good about the government sector is they have these diversity quotas. So I have a lot of clients who are either minorities, which is an MBE, minority business entity, or a women business entity. And when you see over here 20% for an MBE or 10% for a WBE, that means 20% of the bid value. So if this job goes to 10 million, 2 million of this has to be subbed to a minority business, a business owned by a minority, by an African American, Asian, anybody who's not white, whoever's classified as a minority in our country. They can register for the city and state MBE certification, and it applies to these projects. Same thing, any woman who owns a business in construction, she can register as a WBE. 10% is set aside for a woman business entity. We also have over here 3% for service disabled veteran. So somebody who served in our military, got dishonorably discharged, service disabled veteran, and they opened up a construction company. There's the agency on this one per se, and they set that. And almost every government job has that quota. I would say about 99% of them have an MWBE quota that averages about 30%. So any 1 million, 10 million, $100 million project, they have to give the minorities and the women business entities a portion of it. And also service disabled veterans. And then they have DBE, which is a disadvantaged business entities. There's a lot of these different classifications which people qualify for, and they can take advantage of it.
You better talk about having good networking skills to make sure that you have a bench of people that you can pull from for these types of requirements. It's 100%. Essential.
And this is what is incredible about this system. Another part is the networking. So over here, we're showing you the plan holders. Now, these are the contractors who are potentially bidding this project. So they went to the Port Authority website, downloaded the blueprints, paid $50 or $100, or it was free, but they tagged themselves as a potential bidder. So this lets us know that Michael from ATEC Concrete is his phone number, is his email, would need this 20% MBE. So you would introduce yourself as a minority business entity. You send them over your MBE certificate. You send them over your information. And you say, okay, I do X, Y, Z. So depending on what you do. Now, to figure out what you do on the job, we have over here what we call the quantity takeoff. Now, this was prepared by my estimators. And my estimators update these takeoffs as addendums come out. So the addendum on a project is something they might have changed. So sometimes they'll start the project and say, okay, we're using tile flooring, and then they change to hardwood. So they're reissuing an addendum, say, okay, remove the tile out of the drawings and replace it with hardwood flooring or VCT tiling or whatever they choose. If they want to increase the cost or decrease the cost or whatever it may be. So then your estimate is going to change. So you have to go in and change the flooring materials, and it might be cheaper, it might be more expensive. It's going to affect your price one way or the other. Over here, we've had about 4 addendums and then 10 bidder logs. I'm not even sure what that is. It's the first time I've seen that. That's been issued. And we've updated them every time they've come out and they've changed. So let me click on the latest one. That's the one that matters now. And this is what a detailed breakdown looks like. So we're looking at the Lincoln Tunnel. We have priority structural components. These are the 3 locations, 34th Street, 35th Street, and 37th Street. So there's going to be 3 different mobilizations. The contractor has to be aware of that. And this is very important for their estimators or their engineers who are working on the project. This is an addendum box. So we let them know what's been updated, what's been affected. So it's very user-friendly for them. So if they've worked on it before, they know which line items, or if nothing's happened, there was no change, they don't have to worry about it. They can just disregard this latest log, whatever it may be. So that gives them that peace of mind that it's been reviewed. And this was reviewed on 2/6, was the last time it was touched. It was this morning. We updated. That's how current we are. And then we go over here and we break it down into trades. We start with mobilization, setting up. You have your bonding and insurance line. You have a supervisor, project manager. So all this stuff is pulled from the specs. This is what they're telling them that you have to have on the job site in order to be able to bid this job. If you don't have these people, they're not allowed you to work. So you have to account for them. And if this job is a 1-year, 2-year, or 3-year job, this project manager, his salary is going to reflect accordingly. And now this is Excel. So our clients will come in, they'll just start building their formula, and they'll start building their price accordingly. So if we know the mobilization, let's say it's $100,000, you'll put in $100,000. Bonding insurance is probably going to be $150,000 on a job this size. Project supervisor. So this job we know over here, I don't mean to do an estimate live, but we know this is 545 days, so about a year and a half. A guy makes about $150,000. There's 2 of them. So I'm going to say about $450,000, give or take, just with the everything else. And you keep going down. So you can see before they even start, there's a lot of overhead, there's scaffolding, there's different things that we have to account for before we even get into the work. And then we start getting into the work. You have barricades, you have all the demolition, all the different signage, all these little things. Yeah, it's all itemized. And these are done by my engineers. And then they're letting them know that this is the drawing number, the detail number, where we're finding this information, with the cubic yards or the linear footage, all these different quantities are coming from. And they're putting this all together in order to build a proposal.
What's your take on lowball bidding, especially in government? I mean, like, should contractors really price aggressively just to get their foot in the door?
Not at all. Not at all. So this is the government sector. The government sector does not play. They don't have any leniency. They don't care. Oh, you bid low. You gave us a break. Everybody's bidding on the same set of documents. Everybody has the same specs, the same blueprints. Everybody should have identical numbers per se. So what we're trying to feel where you don't miss anything, because when you have spreads like that, it's usually because you look something over or you miss something, or when we have 2,000 square feet, you might have only 1,100 square feet. So there's a discrepancy there, and that might happen in multiple areas if you have a bad engineer or somebody who's always being distracted or doing multiple things at once, because this needs a lot of attention and time. This is very detailed, and this is how every estimate should be prepared when you're bidding the government sector. Because the minute you win, what happens is you have to sit down in front of a panel. They want to line by line how exactly you got to 12.2 million, or whatever the number may be. So you need to be prepared to do this type of presentation, saying, well, this is what I have for this. For steel, I'm charging this. For concrete is this. My sub numbers for this. And like everything has to be well organized, and you have to be able to give a presentation to them. And if they feel comfortable with your number, they'll give you procedure.
Based on your experience in doing this for so many years, are there any like government bidding rules that constantly trip contractors up when they're attempting to submit a bid that you see?
Yeah, so a lot of times they miss out, and I don't know if they overlook, but the eligibility requirements on some of these projects. Well, many times they would, one thing, you have to be in business for 3 years. and you have to have done similar work, at least sometimes, and similar size. So if you're bidding on a $500,000 project, you can't come and say, oh, I've done three $5,000 concrete sidewalks, and now I want to bid
Yeah.
this $500,000 concrete job. They're not going to take it. It's not gonna fly. You might have maybe done $100,000 job where you did foundation or something like that. That would work, because private is always 2/3 or even much more less than what it would cost in the public sector. Public sector is all union prevailing wage. So when you're paying a guy $90 an hour, in the
Yeah.
private sector, you might
Got
be paying
it.
him
Got
25.
it.
So the costs are much less, but the type of work might be the same. So that's what they're looking for. They want to make sure that you have the right experience when it comes to working on these projects. That they want to make sure that whoever's involved, whoever's working on it, they can trust it. They're going to complete the